Hello ladies and gentlemen, VG Musician here, coming at you today with measures 5 and 6 for our ground background music theme from the Super Mario Bros. Easy Piano Lesson Series. Welcome, thank you for joining me. I hope you're excited today because we're going to be wrapping up the A part of the song, which is this melody here. So yesterday, measures 3 and 4 were... And today we're going to be expanding on that tune with... And so it's going to sound like... Okay, so I want you to be really patient with yourself today. You might have to watch this lesson a couple times to really practice and get comfortable with it. As you can see, there are no new notes in these measures. Every note that we're going to play today we've encountered in measures 1 through 4. I went ahead and listed all the notes for today's measures 5 and 6 up there. So you'll see we're going to be playing C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, which is pretty much every note. So every note is going to be represented here in this portion of the music. So there's one rhythmic quality that we haven't really seen yet. You'll notice in measure 5 there is the line with a number 3 connecting 3 notes. And that represents a triplet. And a triplet feels different than the quarter notes that we've been used to. It sounds like this. Da, 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 da. So it's going to be like da, 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 da. So you'll notice when the triplet is played, it feels different. It's got that swing kind of feel to it. So listen for that. Did you hear that? It's that da 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 da. All right, so that's one thing to notice. Another thing is we only have one staccato note here. Everything else is played normally, and that note is going to be here. It's at the... That's where it's at. Okay. Another thing you're probably noticing is there's a lot of movement with both hands. So these are probably the toughest two measures in the song. The right hand is going to be moving up the scale. So, but once you land it, so the stretch from G to E is a little intense here. Thumb is on G, that's the first note we play, all the way up to E. And then fourth finger on G. That's the right hand triplet. Da 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 da. So try that a bunch of times. So we were just really warming up that right hand and getting comfortable with that triplet. So let's add on the fourth note in measure 5, which is going to be the A. The A is going to be played with the pinky. You might find this difficult. Typically pinkies are pretty weak fingers, so really work on building up that finger strength with the pinky. Some fun exercises you can do are to basically hold down 4 notes and then just play with the pinky. So just practice that every day, really strengthen up that pinky. It'll help out measures like this. So back into the triplet position, thumb on the G, and relax that wrist. Remember, that wrist needs to be nice and fluid. If you have it tight, it's going to be hard to do this motion here. So you're going to be sliding up the keyboard. So practice just sliding up, being really loose and flexible here. Then add that G, or add the A in when you're ready. Remember that A is going to be staccato, so you want to bounce off of that pretty quick. Nice and fluid. Okay, so you should have that. So now, once we get up there, we can kind of go back to normal hand position. So you can lock it in when you get there. Da, 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 da. Lock in here. And then you want to play F with your 3 and G with your 4. So that's going to look like this. Remember, we're right here, F and G. These are the last 2 notes in measure 5 with the right hand. If you notice in the sheet music at the top left, the right hand is played in that very first staff, the one with the treble clef symbol. Alright, so let's play this a couple times. Nice and easy. And if you're not playing it as fast as I am, that's fine. Play it at your own pace. Maybe you're going at this pace. That's fine too. So you know what works for you. You know where you're at. So really be patient and slow things down when you need to. All right, let's play it a couple more times. Triple it dot da da. Triple it dot da da. Triple it short, long, long. Triple it short, long, long. All right. Now we're going to come in with measure 6 of the right hand. The first note you'll see there is going to be E, and it's played with our second finger, our pointer finger. Luckily, it's already in position, as you can see. So let's add that into the mix. Perfect. And if you'll notice, I'm taking it nice and slow. I'm adding 1 note at a time, and that way we don't get overwhelmed and we're transitioning nicely. I know you'll want to get excited and move on to the other notes, but really, I can't stress this enough. Take your time. You're building muscle memory here. It might be easy, but you want it to come naturally. You don't want to have to think about it. Eventually, you'll have this song memorized maybe, and you'll never forget it. And your muscle memory will kick in, and you'll know exactly where to go. There'll come a time where you won't really even have to look or focus. It'll just come. So that's what we're doing here. You're letting your fingers become comfortable with the notes. Alright, so after that E, we're going to have that 8th rest, and we're going to go down to the C with our thumb. And as you can see, it's already there. So let's throw that into the mix. Great. Only 2 notes left in measure 6. We're going to go to the D, and you'll notice you'll have to move your index finger down to the D to actually do this appropriately. Here we go. It's just a very small motion. You're only moving down 1 note, so from here to here. And then the final note is going to be the B, and that'll be played with our thumb. Alright, so practice that a couple times. Get really comfortable with measure number 5. It should be pretty straightforward for you. So some important takeaways here. The triplet, really feel that rhythm. Da da da. Da da da. Da da da. Da da da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Alright, so that's one thing. The other thing is the one staccato note. You really want to bounce off of that A. The next thing is really being fluid when you go up here. The wrist is bending. It's not tight. Right, so you get comfortable doing this motion. Imagine you're wiping something down. So just practice this over and over, really keeping that wrist nice and flexible. And the other thing is noticing that the finger positions change at the end. So when we lock in here, we come down 1, lift our thumb, and it comes down 1 as well. Watch that again. Alright, so that's the first time we've experienced the fingers having to actually move. But if you're looking at the music, you can see it's labeled and it tells you exactly which fingers to play those with. Alright, time to move on to the left hand. And this one is a bit trickier, so once again, be patient with yourself. Really nail this. It's going to start out on E with the left hand. And you'll notice E is played with 5. That's the pinky. And remember, to identify E, it's the note immediately to the right of the 2. And since we're playing our left hand, the bass clef, it's going to be to the left of middle C. So this is middle C. And we want to identify the E that's to the left of our middle C. So pinky goes on that. Thumb stays on C. So let's just bounce that back and forth for a minute. Alright, get comfortable with that. That's where your left hand is going to be. So as you'll see, the left hand has got a triplet as well. So this is going to be kind of tricky. It's going to be 5, 1, then up to E with your 2. 5, 1, up to E with 2. Da 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 da. Let's do that a bunch of times so you get comfortable. Keep the hand nice and flexible and relaxed. E, C, E, E, C, E, E, C, E. If you're looking at the sheet music, you can see exactly what I'm playing. That first triplet in the bass clef, measure 5. E, C, E, E, C, E. And then we're going to bring that thumb right up here to that F, and that F is the staccato note, so it's going to be da 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 da. You gotta be nice and slow. See, I just made a mistake. That means I need to slow down. Alright, so that's the triplet. And your hand, you can lock it in here for the time being. We're going to hit those last two notes, the D and the E. It's going to be 3 and 2. You can see the last two notes in measure 5, left hand, D and E. Three more times. Alright, do that as many times as you need to feel comfortable with it before you move on, because this is where it gets a little tricky. You'll notice the next note is a C and it's played with the thumb. And you might find that interesting because the thumb is already way up on F. So it's going to be a tuck. You're going to be tucking that thumb underneath. So it's going to look like this. 5, 1, 2, 1, 3, 2. You'll be up. You'll give your thumb some space and come back down. Alright, watch that again. You just slide it right under. Nice and easy. And get really fluid with that. So once you do that, you're set up perfectly to play the remaining notes. 3, 2, 4. You can see it's A, B, E. Your third finger should be on A, index finger on B, and your fourth finger on G. So just practice that. Get your thumb on C. This is really easy. The only tricky part is when you slide that thumb under. And that's the transition from measure 5 to 6. And that's why we practice transitions so much, because measure 6 in and of itself isn't that hard. This is it. Right? The tricky part is getting that thumb back on the C. So let's play it all together now. Da 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 da. Excellent. Great job, guys. Be patient with yourself. I can't stress that enough. Tucking that thumb under is going to feel a little bit weird at first, but eventually your body will get comfortable with it. So let's play both hands together, and this is something you need to take very, very slow. So our right hand, remember, put the thumb on G, pointer finger on E, fourth finger on G. Remember, the right hand looks like this. Left hand's going to be like this. Together. That'll feel really weird. I promise. It feels weird to me. But once you keep playing it over and over, your body and your muscles will get used to it. Most importantly, keep those shoulders nice and relaxed. Keep those wrists nice and loose. You don't want to be tight here. You want to be fluid. You're making music. If you're having trouble when you're combining them, go back and practice each piece individually again until you get really comfortable with it. And then come back and try to play them both together again. And if you need to go really slow, you can. Fantastic. All right, guys, go back and watch that as many times as you need to get it right. This is measures 1 through 6. So what we're going to do now is we're going to play measures 1 through 6 together. I'm going to put that image up on the screen here so you can see the sheet music. This is what you've learned so far. It doesn't look like much, but you've learned some really interesting techniques. You've learned how to read dynamics from getting loud to soft. You've learned staccato notes and how to play those appropriately. And you also have learned about repeats. So if you notice, the double dots mean you want to repeat that section. So the A part is going to get repeated. You've learned about triplets and finger positions and rests. So all this good stuff you're learning as you learn one of the most iconic Mario tunes. So let's play it together. Excellent. If you'll notice, the transitions since measures number 3 through 6 are repeated. You're going to want to make sure you get that transition down. What I mean is, I'll show you. It's going to be... This is where you end, but then we're going to repeat and go back to measure 3. You're going to have to hop back down and get into finger position, right back to here. So you want to practice that. So get on measure 6. Do that over and over. You're going from measure 6 back to measure 3. Right? So do that until you're really comfortable with it. So right now we're just playing measure 6 by itself, right and left hand. Because I was having some trouble with it. And then so as you play through these things, you'll notice little chinks in your armor, things that you thought you knew, but you're struggling with. And anytime you do that, you should say, oh, it's a red flag. That's a problem, and you should just stop and work on it and nail it. And that transition, right, was giving me issues because the right and the left hand was not feeling good for measure 6. But once I practiced it, now I'm back in the game. All right, let's play it all together once again. Fantastic. Great job, guys. I hope you're loving this. We'll be coming in with B part next lesson. It's going to be like this, and this is my favorite part. The rhythm gets a bit more interesting here. Up until now, the rhythms have lined up between the left and the right hand. Now they kind of take a different path. It sounds like this. Once again, it'll be... So combined with what we just learned, all right, so come back next time so you can continue on. We're making good progress. A lot of these melodies will repeat, so it is a 3-page song, but you've already learned the A part, which is repeated later on in the song. And great job. Be patient with yourself. Keep those wrists nice and flexible. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you for the next lesson. Have a good one. Bye-bye.